Dystopia tonight. Dystopia tonight.
Hey everyone, welcome to a Tomless episode of Dystopia Tonight. This is why I kind of don't know what I'm doing, but I think I'm handling it pretty well. My guest is Patty Lynn from one of my favorite bands, The Wind and the Waves, singer, songwriter, all-around great person. So welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
You don't know if I'm a great person. You don't know me. We're about to find out.
That's true. You're absolutely right.
You could be a terrible person.
Yeah, I know. This is the interview that breaks it. This is how people finally figure it out.
I like your intro. At first I thought I was like, I wanted to dance. Like I was like, ooh yeah, I'm in a dance club. And then all of a sudden I was like, I don't know, should I be scared? Should be scared, maybe.
I really need to take a better consensus of what people think, because like I can see people backstage, for the most part when the intro is going on. So usually I could tell by their facial expression if they're like, I should bail, or if they're really. Or if they're really kind of into it.
It's like, what is this going to be about?
I actually need to, you know what? It's a good point too, because I need to update the intro, because I feel like it was, I started this mid-pandemic just to keep myself sane, because none of us could tour. So what else are you going to do? I could have written, but I didn't. So could have worked on my craft, but I was like, no, I'm going to talk to people about theirs. But yeah, I feel like that collection of clips, other than the Godzilla and the King Kong thing, I feel like it's a little irrelevant almost. It's not enough stuff has changed.
I don't think it's irrelevant. But yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know what vibe it sets. Like what tone it sets. I don't know. I was like, are we going to talk about politics and religion? Is that what we're going to do tonight?
You know what? I know. No, I basically talk about, what's kind of funny is I feel like, because I have, I've had like bands and musicians on and artists and comedians, stuff like that. And it's kind of funny because there's some comedians that see that intro and I feel like they're like, oh, we're going to fucking talk social comedy. And they immediately start off the bat because that's what they think it is. And this is just a whatever. Like I have some questions lined up, but it's basically whatever anybody wants to talk about. I'm down for it.
Okay, good. So. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just so the audience knows, if we have an audience, I don't know, can you even tell?
We do have an audience. People are coming in. So yeah, we do have an audience.
And I guess I was like, just so people know, like you and I have never talked before, like ever, except for like email.
I've never seen this woman before, have I? No.
Or like, we just messaged a couple of times on Instagram and a couple of emails, but like, this is fresh. Like you're seeing this conversation, you're hearing it fresh.
Yeah. This is two people who do not know each other at all. I don't know too much about your life. You don't know too much about mine. I could be a piece of shit. You don't even know. You
probably are.
I love that you're like, I've met a couple comedians. It's a safe assumption.
You're probably like 2 weeks away from being canceled, dude. I don't know.
You know what? I think that's going to be every comedian's bio line under their Wikipedia page, like 2 weeks away from being canceled. That's a great, when I finally die, I hope that's my biopic title. Like they're going to do
it's on your headstone that like was never canceled. Was never canceled.
Until he was canceled by God. Depending on your religion.
The ultimate cancel.
Oh, that's so great. That should be, it just hits a button and you're just done. It's crazy, man. It's so funny how many comedians actually like concern themselves with that fact, where they really think, I'm like, first of all, no one knows who you are. So you got a ways to go before anything you say is going to have any kind of repercussion.
You're not big enough to be canceled.
Yeah, exactly. It's so like, I'll be at like an open mic and there'll be new people up there or whatever. And they're like, oh, I hope this doesn't get me canceled by your family. Stop it. No one knows.
No one's even pushed play yet. So don't worry about
it. Exactly. How did you guys fare during the pandemic though? Did you like, was it driving you? Because I don't know if you want to give away where you are, but I'm
at my house. I'm at my house.
You're in your house. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I'm in Austin, Texas at my house.
Beautiful.
And I'll just go back to the very beginning, right? Like Dwight and I were on tour overseas when this whole thing started. So we were opening for Kelly Jones. He's the lead singer of Stereophonics.
Yeah.
So we were doing a bunch of shows with him. He was doing a solo tour, which is, I think, pretty new thing for him.
Nice.
But we also did a few shows with the full band Stereophonics too. But we were playing some big ass shows at the beginning of the pandemic. Like,
that's awesome.
Like before, like Dwight and I didn't know anything that was going on until like we started hearing things from the news, and then like it was just like a couple days later that they were talking about like shutting down the borders, and we were like, oh, should we be doing something about this? Yeah. And it got scary like quickly.
Did you guys get stuck?
No, we didn't get stuck.
Good.
Like we changed our flights. We left the tour early. I think we missed 3, maybe 4 shows at the end of that tour. And they actually ended up finishing their tour.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, good for them. I so wanted to finish. But then when we got to the airport, it was weird vibes, dude. Weird vibes. And so I'm so glad. And my husband was actually really worried too. He was like texting me like, I think you guys should come home. Shit is weird.
Right.
And I'm in hindsight, I'm really glad that we did, because shit did get really weird really fast.
It turned so quickly. I was coming from a bunch of like Midwest states. I was working my way back. I think I was out in LA for a little bit, did like the middle of the US, and then was working my way back east. And every time I got a little bit closer to home, it was like the pandemic was that much closer for some. Like every day was like a new threat level, and we were, I mean, you know, my Oprah and I, we were just joking around about it for the most part, or like talking to people in the clubs, because we didn't know how serious to take it. And then my last show was in New York, and the day that I got back to Jersey, they were like, hey, if you were in New York, you probably have it, and also don't ever go outside again. And I was like, okay.
Shit.
Cool. Yeah.
Well, when our plane landed after like how long of a flight is that? It was a direct flight from London. It was a really long flight.
Oh yeah, there's
like I can't remember. Anyway, when our flight landed, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. When our flight landed in Austin, we taxied for like an hour, and then finally we pull up to the gate, and then they're honest with us and they tell us what's going on. Apparently someone on the plane is experiencing symptoms. No. So Dwight and I were sitting there like, what the actual fuck? Are they about to fuel this plane up and like send us back? Or send us somewhere else? Because I think they had testing centers in other airports, like in Dallas or Houston or something, but they didn't have anything going on in Austin at the time. So we were just like so ready to get off this plane, and eventually they let us off, and they didn't even say anything. They were just like, okay, you're free to leave now. And they didn't say like you have to quarantine or anything. They just like let us go. And we were like, thank God. Let's get the fuck out of here.
That's frightening though, that when you're at the, just at the behest of like whoever's in charge at that point. If you're at an airport, you can't leave the fucking plane.
Yeah. And no one knows who the fuck is in charge. And like, we're looking up at the front of the plane, and I think it was like I was about to say the captain. It's not a captain. It's the captain of the plane. It's
I think pilot or the captain.
Pilot.
Pilot, yeah.
Fucking captain of the plane.
The captain. That's adorable though.
And then the pilot is like shaking hands with like somebody up there, and I'm like, wait a minute. You're not supposed to do that.
Right. You're like, no, don't do
that. No one knows what's going on. Anyway, So yeah, we missed the very end of that tour. We came home, and then life as we knew it totally stopped.
Sure.
It was super weird, but like in a condensed version of how I fared over the pandemic, I think I fared pretty well. Nice. So my husband and I moved from our condo to our rental property, and we kind of like swapped properties.
Sweet.
And I found new tenants, so I didn't have to worry about not having my mortgage covered. And then I got pregnant, and then I was pregnant for 9 months, and then I had a baby in January.
Wow.
Yeah, like a lot of shit happened. I guess I just figured, okay, so like when I got home, my husband was like, so I think I'm ready to start trying. And I was like, I don't know if this is the best time, babe. Like, I'm worried about my, yeah. I was like, I think I'm worried about my way of life, like while I'm pregnant, like I can't go out to brunch. I can't like just be normal. And am I going to see my family? Am I going to see my friends? And then, bada bing, bada boom. It was way too easy. And like, sorry, trigger warning for anyone who's had a hard time getting pregnant. It was like way too easy for us.
Good for him and you.
Yeah, who said it was because of him? Maybe it was all because
you're right.
of me.
I don't know. You know what? When you said it was way too easy, I know that's so fucked up. But when you said it was way too easy, I had assumed automatically it was guy. You were like, I was expecting a guy problem. I
wasn't expecting a problem at all. But like some people, it just takes a long time. Sometimes you never know.
That's true.
For one reason or another. So anyway, it was way too easy. But also, it ended up being like the best time to be pregnant and have a baby because like there was nothing else going on. Like
what could you do?
Well, I mean, there weren't any tours scheduled. There wasn't anything that I had to like, I didn't have to disappoint Dwight and like not be able to do something, or I didn't have to go on tour and be like real, sluggish or sick or tired, or like, I just got to like put my feet up and be home and just be pregnant, which was, I mean, I don't know anything else. Like, I don't know what it's like to be pregnant.
I had gotten pregnant during the pandemic. You make it sound amazing. I feel like I missed out.
Well, and honestly, like it was a pretty easy pregnancy. Again, trigger warning for anyone who's had like a terrible time being pregnant, but it was pretty easy. I didn't have any morning sickness. I was just kind of like hungry and tired, and like all around it was great. And now I have this beautiful, amazing 5-month-old baby boy, and he's the cutest thing, but the most amazing thing ever.
What's his name?
His name's Lawson.
Oh, that's a great name. Oh man, that's a cool name.
Yeah. It's my husband's middle name and my mother-in-law's maiden name. That's where we got it.
Oh wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, that's a solid name.
Thank you. Wait till you hear the middle name and the last name. So the middle name is Wells, and the last name is Manchester. So it's Lawson Wells Manchester.
Oh man, this kid's gonna be a boss. I don't know what he's doing, but that's like a solid name. Yeah, that's a strong name. I feel like when the world falls apart, that's the person you'd gravitate towards. Lawson. What's his last name again?
Lawson Wells Manchester.
Lawson Wells Manchester. That's a dude I want to follow into a zombie apocalypse. I'm like, this guy's just got a great name.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah, I mean, it seems like then you lucked out. I mean, like I know a couple people who did the same thing, where not the pregnancy thing. You're the first person I know who's gotten. Was like, we're gonna have a baby during this, and I'm gonna fucking.
People are either getting a divorce or having babies.
I was gonna say there's huge life changes going on, and none of the people that I've talked to so far had I mean, divorce can be pleasant if you're truly miserable, but you seem like you moved where you were, you got another place, and you had a baby. You made a person. That's great.
Yeah, I made a human. What did you do?
I got fat for a few months.
Well, that's basically the same thing. I just made it. I just have a human to show for it.
Yeah, exactly. And I just have more hair. That's the only thing that's happened to me. I beard's a little thicker, hair's a little longer. But that's incredible. I mean, I feel like people made giant changes because they had the time to do it, and I don't think that was like. I don't feel like it was necessarily like a bad thing for like. I know that people like there were people protesting in the streets to open up a Fuddruckers because they couldn't go out on a Wednesday night, or like whatever. But I don't know. I wasn't one of those people. I was like, I'm gonna just enjoy my time. I feel so sorry
for them. They're like truly discriminated against.
You know what? I feel like they did a 180. They tried to do like a 180 because for a while there they were trying to make it seem like people who were like adjusting well to not being able to go out and do shit were the ones who were sad. And I'm like, I think you guys are sad. If you need that much time away from your family and you need to be at bars every night and fucking out all the time and drinking, like that's sad.
Yeah. I mean, there were good days and bad days, right? Like I missed
totally.
And maybe I just missed having because I'm not like a super social person. Like I actually really like staying home, but when the option to go out is taken away, it's different. I don't get it doesn't feel like it's my choice anymore. Like I probably would have stayed home anyway and not gone to that party. But the fact that I didn't even get invited, the fact that it wasn't even happening.
Do you have that are you the type of person who has a fear of missing out?
I don't really have that. No.
That's good.
I more so have a little bit of social anxiety. So
Okay.
even though like I like people, like I really want to be around people and hang out and talk
Mhm.
and do the whole thing. When it comes time for that, I'm like, or I could just, or I could just stay home and eat these Skittles and watch this new movie that just came out, you know, or like shovel ice cream into my mouth and not get out of these flannel pajamas. So
I feel the same way,
hard.
and it's weird. Like, do you find that like the older you get, like the easier that is to do? Because when I was younger, it was just not a possibility. Everything had to be, you know, going out every weekend. And now I'm just like, I don't give a fuck if I go out tonight or not.
Every year I give less and less and less fucks.
I get like,
it's good.
Yeah, I didn't know about what is it called? People call it FOMO. Is that what? No,
FOMO? Yeah, fear of missing
FOMO.
out. Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing until a friend of mine kept saying it over and over in a text message. She's like, "Yeah, I know. You gotta get like that FOMO out of your system or whatever." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Fear of missing out." I'm like, "I don't have that, do I?" She was like,
"What is she? 27?"
Yes.
Woo!
Yes. She's exactly 27. So that's ticket. Yeah, exactly. That was good, man. We still don't know each other, by the way.
Nope.
She just nailed it. Yeah, but she talks about all the time, and I'm like, I'm so glad I don't have to deal with any of that shit because.
Well, there's JOMO now too.
What's that?
I think it's the joy of missing out.
Oh, I love that so much. I need a T-shirt that says that.
You know, and like I'm not like super young anymore, so like in the back of my mind, I'm like I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Yeah. Do you miss it?
Otherwise, I just made it up. Being young. I mean, I'm still like
you are.
Still young.
No, but yeah, I know. I was gonna say, you know, how can I ask how old you are, or is that like a weird like?
Oh, yes.
Okay, I won't.
Wait, guess how old I am.
Oh, guess? God, I fucking suck at this shit.
Yeah, I guess.
You are okay, well, you asked my friend if she's 26. Are you 30? 29?
Okay, that's good. I'll accept that.
Okay, well, okay, was that close? Was that close?
I'm 34.
Oh, you're 34. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Why is it great?
Because I don't know.
No, I mean, it is great.
34 is great. Yeah, exactly. It's not that. Yeah, I was complimenting myself that I wasn't completely off, but yeah, no, you don't. You know, I don't know if anybody's supposed to look mid-30s. I don't know what that is. I guess how old I am.
Okay.
This is gonna be bad. I can already tell.
Get closer. Get closer.
Wait, closer.
How many grays are in there?
Oh, the grays. Yeah, the grays are.
I don't know. Okay, I'm probably gonna do you a solid. Okay, I'm gonna say.
Oh, I'm not happy about this. I shouldn't have asked.
I'm gonna say you're 37.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm 36, but I will be 37 in November. That was good.
So close. But it's yeah, that was extremely close. That was good. I love how you said get closer. Like I can't see exactly how dead your eyes are. I can't. A little closer. Yeah. That was great. Yeah, you nailed it. Oh, good. All right, that's not too bad. Now that we're sad, I'm sad. No.
I was hoping for a little younger, but it's fine. Yeah, no, I feel like every now and again I feel like I miss my 20s, and then I meet somebody in their mid 20s, and I'm like, oh, you're that looks miserable to me. Yeah. So but I do every now and again. I'm like, I think I used to do more, but I'm like, now I go out and tour, I'll do stand up or whatever. Now things are picking back up or whatever. I'm like, I'm good if I'm functioning in that way. Like without the gigs, it kind of did fuck me up a little bit. Like a few months without doing stuff, I was kind of chilling a little bit. Yeah. And then when it got to be like 6 months in, I was just like, my brain was kicking into like nightlife performing where just random family members I'd see, I'd be like, hey, where are you from? What do you do?
Yeah. Yeah.
You all right? I'm like, no, I'm not. I need to be on stage. No. But I didn't like my friends and I hung out recently. You know, we got together like once everybody was vaccinated and shit and yada yada, and it didn't feel like I missed them, and you know we would get together whatever. It didn't feel like that big of a deal though because we were doing this. So I was like, I did see you kind of.
Yeah.
I was like, it's, you know, it's not that big of a deal.
I I honestly didn't do a whole lot of virtual socializing. I really didn't.
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
good.
okay, so all my therapy went to virtual. So I was doing individual therapy and group therapy virtual, and I'm still doing that. And
Nice.
I mean, yes, nice, but also I'm over it. Like I'm ready to go back in person.
Yeah.
I did just a handful of social ones, but just not very much, honestly. And I feel like in-person hanging has gotten a little, maybe I'm getting over it now that we're doing it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And I can actually like see actual faces now without masks and stuff. But like for a minute there, I almost like forgot how to talk to people in real life. You know, it was weird.
Yeah, when they get too close and you're like, uh-oh, you're suddenly like, maybe stay a little bit away, even though you know them.
Yeah. Yeah. And just like I forgot words, how to talk. Like it felt very robotic.
Yeah, you're asking the same shit over and over again. I felt the same way. Like one of my friends I hadn't seen in a while, she lived in a different state. She came back home to visit for a while, and we were like actually hanging out. And I was like, it took me a while to like readjust to the fact that I had known this person for 20 something years. Like where I was like, we took that year where it was just digital shit and kind of quick catching up and, you know, how are you crap. And then we were sitting across from each other eating food. And I was like, do we talk about normal shit or do we still talk about the pandemic, or are we still like sketchy about people? Like, anybody getting close to the table or whatever. But I don't know. I think I'm kind of over it now. I don't like people's over exuberance of seeing me. I feel like that's a lie. When they're like, oh my God, I'm like, that's a little much.
You didn't miss me that much. Come on.
Yeah. I'm like, let's give it a little bit of a rest.
Yeah. And also like, okay, like at the beginning, and we can stop talking about this whenever you're ready. Cause like, I'm already over this conversation, but just
cool. Let's do it.
But just like one more thing, like at the beginning, if you weren't wearing a mask, I was like, fuck is wrong with you? Yes. And then now if you're wearing a mask, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why aren't you vaccinated?
Yeah. It is hard to tell which people are douchebags now and which aren't, because everybody, you're like, oh, it's so much easier when I could just tell you weren't wearing a mask and you're not a, you know, like a scumbag anymore.
Yeah, but now if you're wearing a mask, I'm like, aren't you vaccinated? Everyone can get that, you know.
Dude, the vaccination line was like, this is the last thing I'll say about them. I'm gonna move on that too. Like, I remember going to get vaccinated, and in my brain, seeing all the army dudes and shit, and all the people in medical outfits, I was like, I've seen this fucking movie.
Oh
They scan one of us for like a fever, and then they take you away in a helicopter, and you're never fucking seen from again. Mm-hmm. So it was weird as shit. But yeah, so you guys came out with a new album though during the pandemic, right?
No.
You didn't? I thought you did you put out a new song?
No, I don't think so. Did we? I don't think so. I mean, I'm in a time warp. I had a baby. Like you can't trust anything I say, but like, no, we didn't put anything out. No.
Oh, well, that's great then, because the last album you had was 2018, right?
Probably. Yeah. It's been fucking forever. It's been too long.
Well, I read an article recently about that you were talking about that's the best stuff you ever written, and I was kind of curious because I saw you live, by the way, for the first time I saw you, and I've got your album that you signed. It's blurry because my camera's lame.
Old school.
Yeah, man. And then because I went to go took this girl that I was seeing at the time to see Blues Traveler because she loved Blues Traveler. Yeah. And you guys fucking opened up, and you crushed it. It was so good. Yeah. And then you were like, before they started, you were like, hey, I'll be selling stuff in the lobby. And I was like, whoop, peaced out. And you were so nice too. You were signing everything and talking to people and stuff. And then, and I've had it ever since. And then, but yeah. And then I read an article where you were saying that 2018, the album that you came out with, oh my God, I know the name of it, but I'm blanking.
It's okay.
It's how people are terrible.
Human beings let you down.
Human beings let you down, but the same kind of concept.
Same thing.
Loved it because it's so true. But you said that was the best collection of songs you've written. Can you tell me why do you think that is? It's a great album. Well, I'm just curious why you felt like.
And I feel like a lot of people disagree because I think a lot of our fans met us when we were touring that first record. And so I think most people really cling to that first record. And I totally get that because like, you know, Death Cab for Cutie cannot beat transatlanticism for me. So like, I totally understand that. But for me, like, I think I just love new. I just love the new.
Okay. Yeah. As an artist, you're always looking to develop and make more stuff and expand your craft. So
yeah, and just I get I love the first record and the second. I think the second record's my least favorite actually, but I love the first record. I love all of them. I think we have great songs, and each record cycle has so many great memories for me also. But I just like the new. I like to mix it up.
Yeah.
And
cool.
and I listen to it and then I wear it out, and then I also perform it and I sing it a bajillion times that I just wear it out in my brain. So I just like the new.
Nice. Okay, that makes sense. Because it seemed like I love, like I said, I love that album and stuff, but I was curious. I didn't know if you had like a moment where you were writing something and you were like getting in touch with something maybe during that album that you hadn't before, or if it was just the experience. But that's awesome that it's just basically, if it's new, you fucking love it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because Grand Canyon was one of those ones that I burned. I think I one of the songs that I like burned out. Like I don't know, it was so upbeat, so much fun to listen to. And that was one that my friends and I would listen to constantly all the time too. We'd just be like, we're just gonna repeat this song again. And I'll do that until I don't hate it, but I will do that until I hate something. So I'm like, I cannot stand to see it. But it'll be like 400 times. I
do the same thing. I want to be able to sing this song top to bottom. So if I don't know every single word, I'll just like keep playing it. And then once I master it, I'm like, okay, next.
Have you ever had a moment on stage where you've forgotten a lyric and you're like, fuck?
Hi, have we met? My name's Patty. I don't know any of my lyrics ever.
Oh, that's fucking good. No, I did not know that. That's great.
No, I forget lyrics all the time.
Wow. I did not know that. I've done that. I've forgotten, like, literally I'll be doing like more than one show a night. And then I'll go to a bit and I'm like, I think I may have told this audience that bit 5 minutes ago. I don't know. And like, I'll start to like try to ease into it. And I'm like, do they recognize any of this shit?
Dude,
I don't know.
Sometimes I'll just kind of like mumble over a word that if I just like space out or sometimes I just stop singing and then I'm just like, yeah, I don't know.
And you're just playing the instrument. You're like, fuck it.
Or
that's when
I've repeated a verse before. Like the first verse I'll sing twice because the second one didn't come to me. Like, yes, it happens all the time.
Do you think anybody notices?
Yeah, I think so. I think
I
think if it's a big mistake, people notice. And I think if it's a little mistake, sometimes they don't notice. Unless there's those hardcore fans in the crowd, then they totally notice everything. But it used to really, really bother me. And now, like, obviously,
like, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Like, obviously, I don't want to forget the lyrics because I would like to be a professional someday. But like,
that just could be your thing, and everybody will love that about you.
But also, it's like good for me to know that like there are plenty of professionals out there that have their lyrics in front of them.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean,
and Dylan mumbles everything like for the last 10 years, like doesn't give a fuck.
That's his like thing though, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's his thing. But it is kind of I love that that's a warning that people will give you before they go. Like if you go to a Dylan concert, like just a heads up, if you've never been to one before, you won't hear it. And you're like, oh, all right.
Just as a heads up, Patty will forget some lyrics. It's just what she does.
She is going to totally space out.
Yeah, but like one of my favorite local artists, Bob Schneider, he has his lyrics up in front of him all the time, especially when he does those like those residency shows at Saxon Pub where they'll play for, hours. And he has he literally has like 500 songs plus. And so there's no wonder why he's got lyrics up there because he just decides what he's going to play on the spot and he pulls it up. And then also like Kelly Jones Stereophonics, he's got every single word up there on stage with him for every single song in the set.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And once I saw that, I was like, oh, okay. It's like, it's not a me thing. It just happens and it's okay. I don't
know if it's the sadist in me, but I do always appreciate if I go to see a band live, like, of course, everybody loves singing along with the lyrics and the songs, but I always kind of like when they throw in shit and a different rhythm to it, because then it feels like, because as somebody who performs live, you're like, oh, that person's having a fucking blast. So
yeah,
I feel like I would enjoy that.
I think the live version of everything that we do is different from the recorded version.
Love that.
Mainly because the recorded versions, there's not a lot, like we haven't sat with those songs for very long before they're recorded. Like they're really new when we record them. Okay. And then, over time you play them so often, they kind of morph into its own version live. And so the live versions are are almost always different from the recorded version.
Right.
Pretty sure.
How does it work when like if you did like when you did From the Wreckage, did you ever think about doing like recording? Do you have to like pre-approve recording live shows if you want to put something out? Do you just pick the best one, or like how does that kind of work? Like if you're deciding to do that kind of thing, or would you ever do just a live album straight through, like
just from one set top to bottom?
Yeah, run set top to bottom. Would that be like a thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would do that. And it's not something we've ever done, but I would consider doing that. And even if there were mistakes in it, like who gives a fuck? You know, all shows are different. And on some level, I think people enjoy I know that I enjoy when others make mistakes, when I'm part of the audience. You know, I'm like, oh, thank God they're human. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And also they're in the moment and who gives a fuck, you know?
Right.
So yeah, it's something I would consider. We do have a live album out. And it's a digital only thing that you can get on our website. It comes with like video and pictures from that tour and stuff. It's called Live in the UK, but it's not a top to bottom one set. It's like, I think we recorded a handful of shows throughout that tour and kind of chose a couple songs from this show, a couple songs from that show, a couple songs from this show. Just like after listening to them, like, oh, I like that performance of that one, so we chose that one. And that's how we did that one, and it's the only live album that we've ever done. And we did it that awesome way. Yeah.
And you and Dwight are completely collaborative as far as like just music and writing and everything else goes too.
Oh yeah, everything.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
how did you guys wind up meeting?
So
I read it was through another band, but I'm not 100% on that. Okay.
Yeah. So I was in another band when I met him, and he was producing music for us. So that's how we met. We met in the studio, and he was producing music that I was writing with other people. So so we've always had a creative relationship, and it just so happened that him and I creatively just meshed really well, and also our voices seem to mesh really well too. So that band withered away, and he reached out to me a little while after that and was like, hey, I have this gap in my production schedule. Do you want to come out to the studio and just write tunes? You know,
that's awesome.
with really no intention of becoming a band or releasing an album or anything. It was just like, hey, do you want to come smoke some weed and drink some whiskey in the middle of the day and just like see what happens?
Right.
And I was like, yeah, that sounds rad. So we took a couple weeks, and like that entire first record came together in a couple weeks, really, of just us kind of fucking around and like really being in the moment. Like it was such a pure experience, and like I would love to recreate that for every album. It's just like not possible, you know?
Is that the high you're always chasing?
I don't want to. You know, I want to remain in the moment and let every experience be what it is. But it would be so cool if everything could be just like that. Just, you know, we didn't have any fans. We didn't have a management company. We didn't have a booking agent. We didn't have anything, you know, like no expectations from other people or from ourselves. Like we were just fucking around and having a good time, and came out and just like had this amazing collection of songs.
Right.
And I would love for it to be that pure again. And it just never can be. And I have to let it go.
I know. That's so wise. And I know what you mean. There's something just fun about not having any kind of pressure or anybody breathing down your neck or anything like that. And just fucking around is always kind of the best way to do it, or working under extreme pressure, I find.
Yeah, either or.
Yeah, either or. One or the other. It's either bliss or it's like, fuck, I'm going to lose everything.
Yeah.
How did you come up with The Wind and the Wave?
Oh, that's I'm not even going to tell. It's a stupid answer to that question. I don't want to answer it the way I have been answering it for the last 7 years.
Make it up.
I do like alliteration as a writer, and I just like those words together. And I heard them in my head, and I was like, that sounds nice.
Was this something you like? So when you were younger, did you see yourself doing this kind of thing, or did you have any other aspirations? Because I always want to know if people were like, some people always wanted to sing, always wanted to play an instrument, always wanted to do that kind of thing from day one. But did you have any other aspirations?
I've always wanted to sing.
Nice.
When I was very, very young, there was no question in my mind that's what I was going to do. When an adult would ask me, "What are you going to be when you grow up?" It's like, I'm going to be a singer, And then, life happens and you become jaded. And I at one point stopped believing that was possible.
Wow.
And so when I was in college, I studied journalism, thinking that, well, it's a long shot. I'm not going to be a singer. So I'll do journalism and I'll be a music journalist. So I can be in the industry. I can be close to musicians and singers and creative people, and I can be creative with my words in another way. And so that's really what I thought I was gonna do. I was gonna, review shows and albums and kind of like, what's that? Oh God, I'm having a brain fart. It's called Mom Brain. What's that? What's the movie? Movie?
Almost Famous?
Yes, thank you. Almost Famous. Like
I knew exactly what you meant.
Yeah, like that's what I wanted to do.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's still like, it's kind of funny because that's still like kind of in the realm of music. You know what I mean?
It's
Like,
still
so you were still kind of good. Yeah, it was still a badass thing to do. That's awesome. Do you remember your first paid gig?
Yes, I think. So like as the wind and the wave, or just like
as you
gig?
Just somebody going, "Hey, I like your voice and I want you to play for money."
Yeah, I think. So when I was in that other band, I was still in college, and there was an opportunity to play. I forget how the opportunity came about. Someone reached out to someone and they were like, "Oh, we've got this show down at Emo's." And Emo's is like a bigger venue, like on the south side of Austin now, but it used to be like this small place, like right in the heart of downtown. And I was like, my band can do it. I don't know how I got in contact with these people, but like, "Oh yeah, my band can do it." And they were like, "Oh, okay, well, do you have a draw?" We had never played a show ever.
Right.
And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." He was like, "Okay, well, how many people do you think you can bring in?" And I was like, definitely like 150, probably, definitely.
Wow. Nice.
And they were like, "Okay, cool. We'll add you to the bill as the opener." And I was like, "Okay, sweet." And so then I went back to the band and I was like, "We have to bring 150 people minimum."
Were they like, "Oh"?
And they were like, "Okay, we'll just start asking all of our friends and family and just begging them to buy tickets and come to the show." I have no recollection. I don't have any idea how much we got paid or how many people came or anything like that. But I do remember that I was so nervous. This isn't the first time I sang on stage. Not that I had done it a million times before that, but this was like, I was like in a band for the first time and in a real venue downtown for the first time. And I like my whole body, like I was shaking. I could barely, I was playing the viola for this particular project. In the earlier days of this particular project, I was playing a little bit of viola and I was singing harmonies, and like I could barely play. I was like, I could like barely play and I could barely sing. Everything was shaking. I was so nervous. Yeah.
Wow.
Good memory. It's a good memory though.
Did they actually? So were you worried about, because I would have been worried about, we had to do bringer shows when I was younger, when I was starting out as a comic, and you couldn't go on. It's so humiliating. Bringer shows started like late 2000. If you were a comedian, it used to be you performed the last part of the show. You know what I mean? Or you would go on later or whatever. And then when I started doing stand-up,
like as the newbie, you would go on later?
As a newbie, you would have
like
to
how
assure.
Late?
Like if you were doing it that late, it'd be like 1:00 in the morning, like back in the day.
Shit.
Like you would go on dead fucking last at a club. But a bringer show is you get stage time on an off night if you bring in 15 people. So you got 5 minutes for 15 people. And if you didn't bring in 15, they would reduce your time. So you would get 3 minutes. It was the most humiliating, degrading thing to do to comics.
You were
and
bitch.
I thankfully did not have to. What'd you say? Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I said you were the bitch.
100%. And the worst part about that is like you were just more worried about the people were going to show up than your fucking act. So that was like the brutal. So I can imagine telling people you're going to bring 150 people, and then like,
well, I didn't know what answer they wanted from me.
right?
You know, like I don't know if they wanted me to bring 50. Did they want me to bring 100? Like I don't know.
I still don't know today. There's clubs that like sometimes club owners or whatever will contact my manager and they'll be like, well, what kind of following does he have on social media? And I just wanted to be like, they're not all in Poughkeepsie, right? Like,
right.
Like, does it matter? Like, they're not going to be in your fucking town, dude. But that's always fucking nerve wracking. When you were on tour and stuff like that, did you have a favorite place? Because there's places that I love to go to that I wish I could just make a home base. Do you have like a favorite, like a venue or something like that? You just remember having a blast and you're like, yes, every night, this place, this city.
Yes. But again, mom brain, John. Okay, well, I'm just going to start with my hometown. Okay, I'm going to start with my hometown because I love 310. It's down on 2nd Street in Austin, and I love 310 because it's an indoor-outdoor. They've got these big garage doors that open, so you can hear the music from the street.
Nice.
And it's a beautiful bar, great stage, and a wonderful green room, and good attention and service to the musicians that play every night there. So I love that place. So I'm just gonna start there.
Awesome.
I'm not going to remember venue names because that's just not what I do.
I've never been to Austin, and I was supposed to go before the pandemic. I was supposed to go to Texas. I was supposed to go to Austin. I was supposed to go to San Antonio, Dallas.
To do some stand-up gigs?
Do stand-up, yeah. And because of the pandemic, I did not get to fucking go, and I was so heartbroken.
Well, you will.
It was my first time. I can't. People tell me so many good things about Austin, just the music scene in general, and even they say the comedy scene is pretty good over there too. So I'm like excited to finally get back over there and hopefully, get things going. But yeah, Austin's someplace I really want to go.
Yeah, you will. I feel, see, if Dwight were here, he would remember all of the places. That's one of the things he does. He does so well.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there's a place in Evanston. There's a place in Evanston. Evanston, like right outside Chicago, that I love. And I almost wish we had
Chicago's great.
I almost wish that like all the people that were watching this interview could like have like I could see like a chat stream or something because someone would tell me what the venue is in Evanston that's so great.
Yes.
Do you have a chat?
We usually do, and because Tom's at a wake right now, so I feel like that's the only reason why he's not. I know, come on, man. But yeah, we usually have a chat thing going. I'm sure there's.
If you did, someone would be like, "Oh, it's this," and maybe it'll come to me. But that awesome place in Evanston is awesome, and there is a bunch of cities I love playing in. Like New York's actually been really good to us. I love playing New York. I love Boston. Has always been so good to us. Although there is this one place that I'm not going to say. Not that I would remember the name of it anyway. But if I did, I wouldn't say it because you don't want to burn any bridges. But I don't like that place. But I love Boston. I like playing Seattle and Portland a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a ton of places. And of course, I love playing the UK. I love being overseas. It's just everything's so different,
That's got to be the best, just being able to, draw people in overseas and shit like that. The Boston thing, I love focusing on places people don't like going. Was it the audience or was it just like the...
No, it's almost never the audience.
Right. Because
but I will say this particular place, I don't know why. I think our booking agent likes to book us there because he's friends with the guy that owns the place or something, and it's easy.
Right.
But like, they don't have a bar and they don't even serve water. Okay.
Oh, that's fucking horseshit.
I just don't want to go there anymore.
No, I hear you.
Don't make me go there.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to. Are you looking forward to getting back out to touring again, or are you guys gonna start writing another? Like, what's the plan if you have one? Not to put any pressure on you guys, but
no, both, all of the things are part of the plan. So first things first, we'd like to. I mean, we did write over the pandemic while I was pregnant. We wrote and we recorded a lot, and probably there's a there's a good chance that those songs will not see the light of day because Dwight is going to bury them for whatever reason. However, if you are a member of our Patreon, you will get to hear all of those songs if you're a member of our Patreon.
I will absolutely plug the Patreon when it's there, when I post this.
Thank you. But other than that, they may not see the light of day. So we do intend to start writing more soon. We were going to start writing last week, but then Dwight got sick, and Dwight cannot be sick in my house with a 5-month-old. So
no.
So yeah, we're going to start. Yeah.
Not just off a pandemic either. You're like,
just period. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, we're gonna start writing new music.
Cool.
And we are going to, we did a bunch of virtual shows, like acoustic shows over the pandemic as well. And that stopped right before my due date. We're about to start picking those up again.
Nice.
We are in current conversations and negotiations about starting a local residency so that when we do start, and like, I don't know, like once every other week or something like that. So that when we do start writing these new songs, we can just like start playing them live and see what works and see what doesn't work. And and just kind of like, feel them out in a live setting.
I can't imagine this happens much, but do you have songs that you really wish had made it onto an album but didn't?
No, I don't have any of those. No, I don't have any of those.
That's awesome.
And I think it's never happened that way for us because when we, like, if we're working with a label, for an example, we don't just write indefinitely and have someone else pick songs. Like, that's not what we do.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
We just don't play that game. There's a lot of people that will do that, and we just will not play that game. That's just not something I'm willing to do, basically.
That's awesome.
We will write an album and hand it over and say, this is the album. Like, either you like it or you don't like it. Either you want this or you don't want this, you know, because the other way is just not the way to go, you know?
Yeah.
It's just not the way to go.
And it's a kind of a bummer too, because I do hear, like, I love, you know, reading about other bands and music and stuff like that, and it does kind of bum me out when I hear that, like, there's somebody else who's not even like involved in making the music or whatever, that gets to decide and pick and choose and what makes it onto a fucking album. I'm like, oh my god, that's not what I want to hear.
There's a lot of people in the industry that want to have their like fingers and toes in everything, and that think that they know, you know, anything. Not even just about what sounds good, but like what's going to work on radio and, you know, blah blah blah. Like, here's the truth. Nobody fucking knows. Nobody knows. Yeah. Like, either it works or it doesn't work, and no one knows. When it works, it's like I don't know why, it just did, you know?
Right.
There's a bunch of songs out there that's like, that you'll hear and you'll be like, well, of course that worked because it's so upbeat, it's so poppy, it's so catchy or whatever. And then there's other songs where you're like, I have no idea why that works, but it does.
Right.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah, so I know what you mean.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, exactly. And anybody who says that they have like a finger on the pulse of what is going to sell and what isn't is usually just full of shit. Is there a favorite, like, do you guys have somebody that you love opening for? Because you guys have opened for a lot of different people, and I feel like your kind of music kind of meshes well with almost everyone's. Do you like, it really does, like I feel like even if, like, like if there's a band that kind of has like a different sound than you do, but yours still kind of gels well with everybody, do you feel like you could just perform with any kind of band or in front of any band? Because, you know what I mean, like, you guys are strong enough, and I think all your songs are like unique, where like they stand out, they're fun, you can slow them down, you know, they have depth to them and stuff like that. So I feel like you guys can do anything or perform anywhere.
I'm very deep, John. I love opening for Stereophonics. I love opening for Stereophonics fans. Like, ooh, okay. They are great. They are so, like, all of them, they're so energetic. They're so diehard. And that last tour that we did when Kelly did the solo thing, that was really, it was so different for him because I mean, Stereophonics, that's a fucking rock band.
Yeah.
That's a rock show. You know, people rock out and get wasted and climb on each other's shoulders and wave flags around. Like, it's a rock show. So for Kelly to do a solo tour in seated, like beautiful, but seated theaters, that's a very different thing for that kind of fan. And I like both. You know,
Nice.
I think there's a lot of just me and Dwight doing a very stripped down acoustic thing in our future. I think there's a lot of that in our future.
That's awesome. I love acoustic stuff. There's a one song that you guys had that I think you did during the when I saw you guys live, that was just strictly acoustic, and I can't find it. It was God, what was it? It was like a stripped down version of I think This House is a Hotel. It seemed like you guys did it, and it's not on the album that way, but I loved when you did it. Like that's how I heard it for the first time, and I love it the other way too. But it was kind of interesting because that's why I was asking about like the live stuff, where I was like, I know you play things different when you're live. Would you ever like, you know, record a whole thing? Because it's interesting. It's just a different sound, but you guys do both of those things really well.
Thanks. Yeah, we do have an acoustic album. I forget what songs are on that. We do have an acoustic one, and there's some really nice things on there, like things that I prefer in the acoustic version more so than the album version. So,
and you guys have done covers and stuff too, which I've noticed on, which I didn't know you did, but you do them on, which I love, by the way. I like. Do you have a favorite cover?
I'm like literally typing it into my computer right now because I'm like, what have I done? What have I done?
I'm so good. I love your memory. It's honestly like, you're like, I don't know where I've been.
I don't know where I've been. I don't know where I'm going. I'm lost at all times.
I understand.
Let's see.
I understand completely.
Do you have a favorite cover?
That I do?
No.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I do a whole Richard Pryor album. It's pretty great. No one knows it's him. I just discovered your covers, and I was listening to them the other day because I didn't know that you did covers. I've listened to your other albums and listened to your stuff before, and then Spotify like threw them up at me, and they were like, by the way. That was kind of news to me, but.
So we used to do live the Ignition cover from R. Kelly.
Oh my God.
And it was so much fun.
Wow.
And then we just decided not to do anything more R. Kelly because it was a little weird.
Yeah, that gets a little touchy.
Weird vibes from R. Kelly and disappointing. So we were like, maybe no more R. Kelly.
What if I was like, what do you mean? What's going on? I don't understand.
I'd be like, you just have to Google it. You just have to Google it, dude.
Yeah, just let it go.
Our Chandelier cover. That
was one of the ones that Spotify recommended, and I heard and I loved.
Yeah, I missed that. Although I'm pretty sure our cover of Chasing Cars is like our most listened to, like biggest song ever. It was in this episode of what's the Grey's Anatomy.
I was gonna say Grey's, yeah,
where I think, you know, because the original version of that song by Snow Patrol was in an earlier episode, and then I think when our cover of that song played, it was the scene where McDreamy died.
Yes.
So it was a big fucking deal. So,
and I know that because again, this girl that I was dating at the time, I'd never watched Grey's Anatomy.
Same girl?
No, different girl.
Oh.
She'd maybe I get around. But she no, I just felt like you're like same girl, and I was like, oh no,
I don't know.
It's a problem. No, but I never watched Grey's Anatomy, and that's the first episode she made me watch.
Oh wow.
And then the dude dies, and then that song played or whatever, and I was like, I really like this version. She's just like sobbing, but I'm like focused on the music, and I was like, who is this? This is great. She's like, you're heartless. I'm like, no, but we should figure this out. Yeah. But no, that's fucking awesome. I love the covers. I can't wait till you guys go back on tour. And we got 5 minutes. I don't want. I told her I keep you
out. We
No, we don't have a hard out. We can keep going. I just like to let the guests know, just in case they're like, TikTok, motherfucker.
Oh, yeah.
I cut off.
Time is money. Time is money.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. I can keep, because I've got plenty of questions. I could keep talking to you forever, but I also don't like, I feel like sometimes people are like, you said an hour, dude. I don't want to fucking, like, are you shitting me? Like, is this what's going on? But no, I really don't care. I just like to let people know.
This
fucking guy thinks he could just, we got all the time in the world. I do, apparently.
Well, I don't want to skip over anything you wanted to get to or anything like that. So
no, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, there's still like, I'm just curious. Like, I love like learning about the process and stuff like that, and I like that you guys write primarily together. One of the biggest things that I'm still thinking about is that you guys basically have creative control over your shit. Was that hard to get, or you guys just decided I'm drawing a line in the sand, and if they don't like it, fuck it, we'll go somewhere else with it, or we'll take it live, or we'll go out on the road? Because that's a really hard thing to do, especially for like, you guys did that right off the bat, like new band. You were like, no, this is what we want, or did you have to work up to that?
Well, so like, it was kind of a precedent that we set from the very beginning, because and we had a wonderful A&R person who just loved what we did, and when we started talking to her, the album was already done. So it's not like you know, she discovered us in some bar and she was like, I love the way you sound, let's write an album and I'll release it. It was like we have this album, and you know, we're a new no one act, like we're nobody, but we have this album and we love it, and she loved it. And so there was no changing it. And she went from our first record label, and then I think we got dropped from that one, and then she moved to a different label, but then she brought us along for the ride with her. So that's how we got signed to our second label. And then it was kind of the same thing there too. So,
and see, that's kind of unusual too, because I think sometimes I've talked to other bands and they say they won't, like, they'll write an album, but they'll give somebody like a couple songs because they're afraid, like they don't want to release the whole album in case they don't like, you know what I mean? Like,
we don't turn in songs we don't like. We don't even finish songs we don't like.
Wow.
Really?
That's fucking sick.
No, yeah. I mean, I feel like, I mean, not that every single song we write ends up on an album, but we just we don't finish songs that we don't like. And we can feel together if it's going in a direction that we like or we don't like. If it's not going in a direction that we like, we don't have any problem just bailing on it, you know?
Right. Do you do things lyrically first, or do you start strumming and do things like, do you write the music first?
It's really more of a music first kind of a thing. Although I'm always jotting things down that I refer back to for inspiration and ideas. And Dwight does the same thing. And even though we do everything together, Dwight is really more the music person, and I'm really more the lyric and melody person. So, but the whole thing is a collaborative experience. But like, Dwight will come to me with a chord progression. Sometimes he even comes to me with a melody that he has in mind, or sometimes he kind of reserves the melody to see if the progression inspires some melody in me. And sometimes he even has words here and there, or sometimes happens a lot. He'll be like, well, let me show you this melody I had. And he'll like mumble something, and we call it mush mouth. He'll be like, and I'm like, did you say the feathers of the bird blew in the wind? And he's like, no, I was just like mush mouthing. And I was like, well, I'm going to write that down because that was amazing.
That's great. I've never heard of that before, but that's fucking awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Mush mouth.
Yeah. That's pretty sweet. Yeah. That's a great way to collaborate. I always kind of like, I'm not musically inclined. So I don't, like, for me, I feel like it would have to be like in my mind, people write lyrically first. And whenever somebody tells me they actually get the music down first and then add lyrics to it, I'm fucking blown away by that, because I just don't understand how music works. I don't understand like the relationship between like word and song. I can't put it together in my head.
Yeah, I mean, more often than not, there's a progression, and let's figure out a melody that goes on it. and then the words, and then we fill in the words with the melody that we've already kind of created. So that's more often than not, that's how it works for us.
How much of it would you say is just all from personal experience, and much of it is like you creating shit on the spot? Like fiction telling a story in a song versus, this stuff has happened to me,
Yeah, it's like almost never fiction for me. It's all.
That's awesome.
It's a pretty cathartic thing for me, actually, writing lyrics. It's all personal. I don't really know how to write things that aren't personal, and I don't think I'd be very good at it. Because that's the stuff that I feel the most. That's the stuff that I'm experienced in. Is like this. That's what I know. It's my life, and also the people in my life. It's kind of like if you're in my life, like there's probably going to be a song about you at one point or another. So you have to be okay.
We need to do more of these interviews then. That would be so cool. No, I'm actually like, that's actually really awesome, because that's the kind of vibe I got from listening to your music, that it was personal. I think if right now you had told me that if someone, like majority of them were fiction, I would have been heartbroken. I'd be like, oh fuck, really? That's so
but also
sad.
really impressed, because like, how could you
let
someone do that? Yeah.
Yes,
no, I mean,
absolutely.
My stuff's been so personal that we've had to talk about songs in couples counseling. Like It's a thing, like, because I just feel like there are some things that have to come out in song, like the things that are hard to say, the things that are hard to feel. It just, that makes the best lyrics, makes the best stories. And if you say them out loud, there's a really good chance that there's a lot of other people that feel the same way and have thought the same things. So it's not always things that you would divulge to your partner. It's not always things that you would necessarily want the world to know about you. But it's probably the most relatable. So and they totally are. And that's it's the best feeling in the world when you make something or write something that resonates with other people and helps them express how they actually feel. Is that a coping mechanism that you learned over time, or do you think you've always expressed yourself with writing and song in that way? Like, because I know you said you go to therapy, and then you've also been in couples counseling now, and so like, is that something that you've kind of grew into with your music, or is that something you just learned when you were younger? I feel like it's always been kind of a cathartic experience, but my writing's changed over time too. Like, I've learned
just show tunes now, so
just show tunes. Yeah. I just mean like in the way that I write my lyrics. Like, I feel like in the past I used to be very metaphorical, flowery language, and the more I write, the more I kind of just say it exactly like it is. Like. How do I say that I'm really unhappy and I'm not sure if this is what I want anymore. Oh, I guess I could just say that, like, so you say your writing's developed over time by just being more straightforward with it. And just saying what it is you want to say, Yeah,
that's beautiful. That's actually really cool. I think a lot of people would wish they could communicate in that way instead of just, like what my parents did, just straight up screaming.
Dude, me too. Me too. Therapy?
Yeah, man.
Do you go to therapy?
I have been in and out of it. I should be. Full disclosure, I should definitely be in it more than I am.
Good. You've got some experience. That's good. Yeah. No.
Yeah. I have a little experience with it. Yeah.
Therapy's amazing.
It is. I think it's one of those things that I fully believe, especially after going, that everybody should just be in some form of it at some point in time.
Absolutely. And it's those fuckers that think they don't need it that need it the most.
Oh my God. Absolutely. It's so whenever anybody's like, I'm good, I'm like, oh, do you have some shit to unpack?
Are you though?
Exactly. Those people worry me the most. I'm like, I don't think you're good at all. I think that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Then they wind up being like Army Hammer eating people and fucking, whatever. Did you read that? That was crazy.
No.
Oh yeah, dude. He got somebody he was like sexting or whatever had like released their messages, which I always kind of hate when people do with like celebrities and shit like that, because I'm like, I don't really care how people fuck. I don't want to know. And then I started reading like the transcript. I was like, what kind of bullshit? Like everybody's sex, like blah blah blah. And it was like he was like listing things he wanted to eat, like off of like toes. then like it got more graphic where like he actually admitted to being a cannibal at some point. And we were just like,
whoa.
yeah, it's
I mean,
nuts.
if you like to pretend you're a cannibal, that turns
Right.
you on. Like, hey, like to
That's
each
what
their
I
own,
do.
right? Like to each their own.
Yes,
Like,
everybody's
whatever
got a
you-
kink.
Yeah, like whatever you find sexy, like you do you.
Yeah,
boo.
I agree.
Except
And
don't
then,
do that, actually.
yeah, the more it was crazy, the more I read it because I was doing the same thing. I was like, all right, this guy, it's all hyperbole. Like he's just fucking. And then all of a sudden, it was like confessing to what he's done in these things, and I was like, oh no, like he's an actual. Yeah, it was fucking nuts, man. It was wild, but yeah, I don't know. I think I definitely want to go back and like do more of it because I feel like it would benefit me. Plus, having a third party to just fucking talk to they don't know you, they're not your friend, they're not your
Absolutely. They're not invested in your personal life, in your social life. And just therapy is so amazing. Like I get, you get validated and you get to talk things out. And I will say, like, I've been in group for not a year yet. I think I want to say I started in December of last year. So not a year yet, but like, I feel like group is like the grad school of therapy. Like it's like the final step. It's amazing. Yeah.
I've never done that. And I don't, how do you have to be, can you just go to group therapy or is it does somebody have to recommend you into it?
No, I mean like, you can just go to group. Well, I mean, you have to meet a therapist that holds groups.
Oh, okay.
And, yeah, that holds
into a room.
You just walk into a room. It's not like AA. You can't just show up. No.
Okay.
No, it's not a free service. You still have to pay for the service.
Right.
But it's just like any other form of talk therapy with a therapist, with at least one therapist in the group. And it's been really very, very interesting. And I highly recommend it. I like it a lot.
I'd like to try that out. I think that'd be good.
But while we're talking about therapy, I did want to mention that I am, as of August of 2020, I have joined a board of directors for an organization called the Sims Foundation. And it's an organization that provides mental health services and drug use recovery services for musicians and people in the music industry, as well as their dependents, as well as their family members. So not just musicians, but also producers and the lighting people and the loading people and just all the people that are within the music industry that just don't have access to those kinds of services can get them through Sims Foundation. And I've actually been a beneficiary of Sims Foundation for, I don't want to say like 7 or 8 years. And I recently joined the board of directors. So now I feel like I'm really able to give back to a cause that is so important to me. And so
I did not, I saw in your profile that you're a mental health advocate and stuff. I did not know that about you.
I mean, that's a kind of a self-proclaimed title
that
I gave myself, right? But
no, that's great though that you gave that to yourself because, I didn't know about the Sims Foundation. And I didn't think I could like you even more than I do right now because that's fantastic. One of my very, very close friends a year ago, almost a year and a half ago, passed away. She was a musician. She could play, like she was just one of those people who could pick up any instrument and play it. We'd known each other since we were 12, passed away. She OD'd. She struggled with drugs for an incredibly long time. And me and a few of her closest friends had like tried to, it was devastating,
Sucks. I'm so
obviously
sorry.
to have that happen. But it was one of those things that we were trying to figure out, like we wanted to do something, of course, when the pandemic hit, but we were like,
So it was a recent.
It was January 2020. And it was like a few days after her birthday.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just soul crushing. But we were like, what do we like? Can we? But that's all. I didn't know about the Sims Foundation because we were trying to feel like I was like, there should be something for musicians or just for performers or entertainers because she acted and stuff too. And she was living in LA at the time and then came back home to Jersey for a little bit. And she was on the road a lot and just did endless and countless shows. She's a dancer and could play the banjo and the mandolin and the piano.
And the thing is that life is so hard.
It is.
It's
people
so
don't realize it.
I know it's so draining, and
Mhm.
and it's not like and most musicians out there, people in the music industry, don't make gobs of money. It's not
Right.
like mental health and drug recovery services are cheap. Like that stuff is really expensive, unfortunately.
One of
And
one of the things was that she got bounced around a lot, so she could never really like she didn't have the best health care, and places would give her the boot or whatever, or if she did wind up in a place when she was trying to get clean or get better, some of those places are not they're not the best places, for somebody to go. So it's like trying to find the right place, and it was, yeah, it really, hit us all hard. And I mean, I was always an advocate for like better healthcare in the country and all that stuff too. But during this past election, I was really like adamant about people understanding why we need better healthcare in the country because
yeah, when you experience something that close to home, it changes you.
Yes.
And yeah, and like our country, our world needs more and more access to healthcare, better providers, and just more affordable, right? Like it's so hard.
Mhm.
It's so hard to find good providers that you can afford.
Yeah.
And
We
the
have
Sims,
it's terrible.
yeah, the Sims Foundation is truly one of its kind, one of a kind, and I really hope that it's an organization that can go national sometime in the near future. I'm probably not supposed to say anything about that, but we're talking about expanding, and I really would love for that to happen because right now it's just in Austin. But
Wow, okay.
But hopefully, more interviews like this and more awareness and more more
I will
more talking
absolutely
about
plug it.
mental health.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I just got interviewed on a mental health podcast earlier today in the UK because I have a short film out on Amazon Prime called Dup It. And it's about a dude it's based on my own experiences with it, but it's about a guy whose depression manifests itself into a puppet, and he affectionately calls it Dup It, and it's just the antagonist throughout the whole thing, and it's all his worst anxiety and fears and thoughts, and basically he goes through like the entire film with this thing that nobody else can see that is just there constantly. And
we all have a Dup It.
Yes, and that's one of the things that made me because like you make something, you have no idea if people are gonna like it, they're gonna love it, they're gonna fucking hate it. It resonated with so many people that the Henson Company noticed it, and this is again pre-pandemic, so the pandemic hit and stuff kind of stalled, but they noticed it, and we were talking about making it into a series because literally like it got like decent press and stuff, and people were talking about, oh, my Dup It's like this, and my Dup It has whatever. And in the film, they were by the end basically he realizes that communication is key to making yourself feel less alone and kind of dealing with depression and kind of talking about it. And once he does that, he sees everybody has a Dup It, so everybody's got dealing with different shit.
I love it.
Thanks.
So this is something I can watch.
You can. I'll send you a link.
Okay. I love it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's on Prime, right? I think it's still on Amazon Prime right now. But yeah, I can send you a private link.
I bet our Dup Its would be friends.
Oh, absolutely. I'm thinking they would be. I'm thinking they totally would be.
They would be friends. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so crazy. I'm so glad you told me about I really am about the Sims thing. I'll plug that as much as I possibly can because I didn't know that existed, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
And now I want to try group therapy too because that's I've only done the solo stuff, which is good. Which I should. I
will say it is helpful to continue the solo stuff while you're doing the group thing. It is also nice to have like your own personal space while you're doing the group thing. Yeah, but cool. Yeah.
Is it the same dude?
The same therapist?
Yeah, for group and solo.
No.
That's cool then.
Yeah, no, my individual therapist is a different therapist than the therapist that does group, but it's not a dude.
Oh, I don't. I say that. No, I don't. I say that I mean that in the general sense of dude. In the general sense. I say that dude. Way too much. Where I'm just like, I was like, oh, dude, what's up, dude? And then the people are just like, what? It's so funny though too because like I've got like a bunch of friends who are trans or whatever, so like I'll do that like, and they know me that I do that, but they'll introduce me to somebody else and they'll be like, easy with the dude stuff.
Easy with the dude stuff, dude.
You're right, dude. I'm like, dude, it's such a dumb fucking thing that I do. It's like a tick. I have no idea. I say it to my parents. I've said it to like I've done like a bunch of like political fundraisers or whatever. And one time I was doing a thing after the fact where I had to interview this guy running for mayor, and I literally called him dude during the interview.
Cool dude.
And I was just like, oh, I'm kind of sorry about that. He was like, oh, I think it made him like feel a little bit more human in general too. But I was just into the conversation. I was having a good time.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm a real piece of shit, but it's fine. I'm going to ask you. So this is one question that we ask. It's kind of a generic, but we ask every guest.
Okay.
If you had one piece of advice you can give to yourself, your younger self, go back in time and tell yourself something that would help you for the rest of your life up until this point, what would it be?
I'm afraid of being cheesy. I'm afraid of being cheesy here, but
don't be afraid. It's whatever comes to mind.
That you are enough, just as you are right now, like, and stop trying to be anybody else. You are like, I'm closing my eyes because I'm looking at my younger self right now. You are beautiful and you are smart and you don't need to do that diet. And truly, you don't need to do any dieting.
Love that.
And you can eat whatever you want and just be healthy. Obviously, like, we want to be healthy. So like everything in moderation, but like you are enough just as you are. And you're very talented and you should believe in yourself, and people like you, and the people that don't can just go fuck right off.
I love that. Beautiful. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. I like that you're the first person that's ever closed their eyes to talk to their younger self.
It's a very good thing to do. To actually, I have some pictures of myself of like a baby, like not like a baby, but like a very young version of myself. And I do kind of talk to myself in those pictures every now and then, like, you're a sweet kid. I love you. Like, I think that's important to like talk to your inner child and tell them how great they are, because all the things we needed when we were little that we didn't get or whatever, we can give them to ourselves now.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. I feel like there's a general theme, like kind of like, and it wasn't cheesy at all what you said either, but it's something that I think that more people need to hear, or need to hear other people who are successful say, is that you're enough, and not to worry so much. Like for me, it's the same thing. Like I worried so much when I was younger about all the wrong things to almost like which is kind of funny, because now cut to, I don't know, 36 now, where I literally I still have anxiety about shit, but I don't worry about the right shit, I think. So, but when I was a kid, man, it was like I was immobilized sometimes with the bullshit that I was worried about, and I wish I wasn't. Yeah,
and stop trying to be perfect, because you're not, and you never will be. Make mistakes. Just make them.
There's a great quote by somebody. I almost said dude again. But there is, and he was basically like, perfectionism is the death of creativity. And I love that.
Yes. Yeah. Someone said that. Someone really smart said that.
Right. Yes, I agree. It is someone, because I can almost see their face where I'm like, oh, that person knows some shit.
Yeah, that dude was smart. Or maybe it was a woman. I don't know. But
could have been. Yeah, I have no idea. Either way, whoever said it, I was like, oh, fuck, that is. Because how many times have you gone to do something and you're like, oh, it's not. Like, I've had to teach myself to literally walk away from something, whether it be a script or whatever it is, where I'm like, okay, it's done, and it's never going to get more done than this. I could sit here and rewrite it for fucking ever, but eventually you have to just kind of step away. It's hard to do.
And also, if it's perfect, it's boring.
Right. Exactly.
Perfect is boring.
Yes, I completely agree.
If I had a perfect childhood, I wouldn't have any songs to write.
That's a great way to look at it. Yeah,
Zero.
I agree. I would not be
zero
funny.
Songs.
Yeah,
you wouldn't be funny, and I wouldn't, write good songs. So
yeah, there we go. Perfect.
So we can thank our fucked up childhoods and families for that.
Hell yeah, and we never have to actually speak to them.
No, ever.
That's well. Listen, I want to thank you so much. You've been on for an hour and 20. I appreciate you just entertaining me and my ridiculous questions and prying into your life.
Yeah, no, it was good. I've had many an interview over the last 10 years, and some of them have been just god awful. And this one wasn't one of those. So
that's good to hear. Thank you so much. I'm glad. And I feel like I got to know you a little bit too, which is just lovely.
Yeah. Yeah, let's keep in touch.
I will absolutely keep in touch with you. And all right, I'll catch you later. Take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Dystopia tonight.